keep an eye on chat.
Please. Hi everybody. We're back with more of this, more more investigative courtroom intrigue. Or Of the Devil, episode 1.
It's just like my story. Sorry, I'm eating Muddy Buddy. Forgive me.
No, you're getting in character as Emma.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I'm eating Muddy Buddies.
I know, like, we're trying to solve this murder, but I really want to eat some Muddy Buddy.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever, here's the thing, I try to avoid the the candies aisle of the Publix, the candies and snack food aisle or whatever. Mm-hmm. But whenever on occasion they're like, it's BOGO Muddy Buddies time.
Oh fuck, I know.
I do the evil sin, which is I'll have like a gallon freezer bag or whatever, and I'll buy one bag of one flavor of Muddy Buddies and then one bag of the other flavor of Muddy Buddies, and I'll pour them into the big gallon freezer bag and mix them around.
Oh, that is heinous. Good.
That's how I got through Baki the first time.
I think the one of the most shameful things I've ever done with Muddy Buddies is get up in the morning and think,
Muddy Buddy cereal.
Well, Muddy Buddies is just chocolate covered Chex. This can just be cereal.
How was that, Ben?
Yeah.
Was it good?
It's chocolate covered Chex. Why do you think it is?
It was delicious.
It's really good. The thing is, because it's coated in chocolate, the Chex don't get soggy.
I was gonna say my assumption was Special K with less added vitamins and minerals and a higher calorie count, but probably tastes 3 times better.
The only downside is the powdered sugar.
Yeah.
Kind of like it does the thing where like it gets like a coat of it and then it underneath it is dry.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's moist. No, it's not.
No.
Tragic.
But it tasted good. I don't know, whatever.
It's so fucking good. But apparently this is also called puppy chow.
Yes.
I don't like that name for it. I don't, the Midwest is divisive. I've always preferred Muddy Buddies. Puppy chow never sat right with me.
I've heard Midwesterners specifically call it puppy chow before.
That makes sense.
Look, I'll fight for Pop until the day I die. But puppy chow is no. Muddy Buddies is fine.
My favorite version of that. Now, to be clear, I am a pernicious Muddy Buddies that is my preference of term. But my favorite version of that is for trail mix, and there being a certain subset of people who just refer to it as Gorp. Gorp.
My favorite one is one that I continue to like run into and cause friction with here in the South. Is when I go up to the deli and I go, can I have some JoJo's?
Yeah, we have no idea what the fuck a JoJo is.
That's an Oreo, right?
No.
A JoJo is, those like long thin potato wedges that are beer battered and fried.
Oh, those things.
Potato wedges.
Oh, you mean a potato wedge?
Yeah.
JoJo.
No, a potato wedge.
You just called them a potato wedge, which is what they are.
Is that distinct from a steak fry?
Yes, because they're so like a steak fry is cut into a thin slice, whereas like a potato wedge is basically like
a wedge of potato.
It's like a wedge. It's like you cut it. You cut it like top-wise down and into a bunch of chunks. And they're like little triangles, basically.
Other one, dude, I don't know what hamdingers are.
As a esteemed MST3K connoisseur, I don't actually know what a hamdinger is.
What the hell is a hamdinger? Hang on.
I'm sure it's. I don't
understand why everyone's mad about a JoJo, because it's literally just like it shortens the word and it's very distinct.
No, let's see. I would never fight you on that, only because I cannot think of a time in which I have encountered anyone actually ordering potato wedges. So like they can be called whatever. If they're called JoJo's, that's cool.
Well, Saturn, if you call them JoJo's, wouldn't you rather have them because they're called JoJo's?
You can go
I had to think about that one. I'm not sure.
You're not wrong.
I don't know if
it tastes a little bit more satisfying because you call them a JoJo.
I don't know that I would actually spring for it either way. I feel like steak fry is my upper limit for how much potato I want unbroken.
Okay.
I think
Hamdinger,
anything.
by the way,
Oh, continue.
I just looked it up. It's basically just like a meat product. It's kind of just like Spam, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it looks rather exclusive to the Wisconsin area.
I'll pretend to be shocked. I don't think we're running into any
MST3K made jokes about food exclusively from the Wisconsin area. Shut up.
I don't think we're at risk of finding any Hamdingers or Jepson's Malort in Of the Devil, thankfully.
No.
However, despite the fact, and I will get this started in a second, despite the fact that I live in Florida, the streamer lives in Florida. I'm breaking kayfabe, don't mind me. Despite my Floridian residence, I can in fact go to the liquor store and get Jepson's Malort. Despite the fact that it is... It's basically this, in the early 1900s, some Swedish guy from Chicago made the shittiest version of absinthe possible. He basically made backyard absinthe, and the result is apparently what has been described as the foulest tasting alcoholic beverage you can get in the United States.
I see.
Noted crazy man, ordinary sausage made a Jepson's Malort sausage, and
did it kill him?
I think it's on record as one of the worst things he's ever made.
I bet.
I'm not surprised.
All right, I'm gonna get us into this courtroom.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm 2 glasses of wine deep. I'm ready.
That's the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting right into it.
We're going to it.
We're going to court.
I'll see you in court.
July 1st.
I have delightful news to share in a later date.
Oh, okay.
It's more food related stuff.
Oh,
I see.
All right, I'm done.
Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once we stepped into the courtroom. Not with her. Otzi.
Sorry, headphones.
She gets situation.
Oh.
Headphones got caught in my hoodie, sorry. That's the adjutant up there? Is it asleep?
It's loading.
It needs to load?
Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those the state buys in bulk.
There's an audience.
You mean the gallery? That's nothing. It could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Ashure's death must have spread like wildfire, even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press, but uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns, usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was gonna end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of this circus. At least this way, it's decent marketing for my legal services.
What will happen once the adjutant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed?
With all those films you'd watch, I'd figure that you could extrapolate.
I am asking so as to correct any misconceptions.
Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. The court will come to order, and there will be a clarification of the charges. The defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case.
That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct?
Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual and the case.
What do you do then? Sit here and watch?
Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine witnesses after the prosecution are done questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response, as long as I have discovery backing me.
You've said that before. Discovery means...
Just that I can't pull stuff out of my pockets and present it without any kind of context.
Wow, we're actually more accurate than Ace Attorney.
I think I
my
mentioned it
God.
last time, but the writer for this did law school at least for some kind of thing, and so it's like,
That makes
no,
me-
we're
that
gonna
makes
stick with
me
it.
happy.
It makes sense.
I have to have proof that I acquired it legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time, that means having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation.
Which I can provide.
You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you?
And the jury? I don't see where they would sit.
The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings in anonymity.
And that's not an issue? Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them?
You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury at a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to work with. Oh, I meant to mention... Oh, hello, Wony Wasp. First-time chatter. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
But I did mean to mention... Oh my god. So last time I was like, oh, that thing at the orcs is like the Tesseract logo. I'm actually incorrect. They don't get into it, but as you can tell by that back there, that's actually the logo for the state. And I only realized it because it's printed on Reyes's badge in her concept art.
I see.
I assumed it was the logo for ArcGS because it being a isometric cube, it looks a little like the Unity logo, and this game's made in Unity, so I thought they were just being tongue-in-cheek. It's like, yeah, you know, the future of AR, of law enforcement AR, it's just made in Unity.
So, all you have to do today is convince the adjutant?
Easier said than done. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments, and right now, all the evidence suggests that David killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David. Yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emma doesn't play nice enough for me to be anything less.
I think it's waking up.
Okay, Otzi, I think it's almost your time. Like I said before, you have to read the facial expressions before you say anything and bring as much energy as possible.
Let's see what I can
We're
do.
counting on you.
This third lower court is now in session. Adjutant AD_84 presiding. I call to order the case of the people v. Escher. Do the people wish to make an opening statement?
No, Your Honor.
No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant here.
Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show start.
If neither the people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage.
Ooh.
My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is AD_84. I am a machine, an automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourself wondering, why? What gives a machine the right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined, or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balanced equation, like the golden ratio, like the Vitruvian man, justice is beautiful. So, what gives me the right? This gorgeous bud!
Oh my god!
Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was just trying to lighten the mood, but I can see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me. They're guilty, or whatever.
Your Honor.
Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? Because I'll log the error if I need to.
No, Your Honor, this is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Assure did, in fact, commit suicide, as he...
I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. I didn't realize that the adjutants were so lively.
They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got served the most in need of repairs adjutant the court system could find. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial going must have wanted a little payback for the kindness.
Look for. Could it be your... trying to size me up?
Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor.
Good. Because if you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'd find my ruling to be fair and even-handed.
That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So as long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan's still workable.
Mm.
So, people, shall we get started with that first witness?
Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand.
Yumi.
Hey!
So how about it, pretty lady? You swear to tell the whole and unadulterated truth to the best of your ability?
I do.
Good enough for me.
I love that talk spray in the background of the stars in her glasses.
Yeah.
I don't know if we see a whole lot of that close up, but that's one of my favorite ones.
Dr. Sato, you were in charge of the autopsy for David Assure, were you not? I was.
Oh, Sarah gets to talk to herself again.
I know. I love talking to myself. And when did you make your examination? I started last night. Well, technically, 1 a.m. would be very early this morning.
I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 in the morning.
Objection! The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks.
The hell? All I said was...
Yeah, what she said.
You mean sustained?
Don't get cute with me, counselor.
We have already lost credit. We haven't even had to make any decisions yet.
You started!
Being cute is my job!
God damn. We've barely even gotten started.
That seemed pretty bad, hadn't I?
Making mistakes will increase your blind. Blind is how much credit you'll lose for answering incorrectly when you yourself aren't controlling the ante. Blind increments on its own throughout the trial as the stakes get higher, but resets at the end of each day. Blind starts at and caps out at a higher number if you're playing in high roller. Which we are.
Yay.
Mind the blind number in the top left when it appears. It helps you gauge what you stand to lose.
Can I take over the tutorial things, by the way?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am so enamored by the Plinkett tutorial bit that I just, like, my mouth starts moving before my brain does.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. He'll still be doing all the tutorial bits.
Yippee.
Yeah.
We will have a couple more, believe it or not. So
Okay.
Good.
you will get to whip some out.
We should try to avoid being penalized in the future.
Thanks for the tip.
You're welcome.
Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough.
Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the court? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. It seems by the time he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin, and a bluish tinge around certain extremities. And the condition he was in matched those symptoms? Correct? In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease, but the subject had no wounds or reported illnesses and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It is also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses. Drug overdoses. Did you perform a tox screen on Dr. Ashore? Yes, but his tox screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before.
Wait, a clean talk screen? Clean?
Heads up. Dialogue will proceed automatically during testimony, but you can still advance text faster if you want with space or left mouse. You'll need to read carefully and wait for the witness to make a statement that sounds wrong. Then hit the call button to call their bluff. Testimony will keep repeating from the beginning until you call. You should call me and we can order you a pizza roll.
I'll mail you pizza rolls from my web zone. Can't let this chance slip by. I need to catch her mistake the second it comes out of her mouth. For cross-examination, we're not going to worry too much about the voice acting thing, because it goes in real time, and B, they are just going to unilaterally repeat the things they said in the scene before with like some mild adjustments for fitting into dialogue boxes. But it's mostly like the exact same text.
Sounds good.
We also start with being shown the 3 pieces of evidence that are possibly relevant to this cross-examination.
I already see.
So, am I reading this? Okay.
No, because this is all just, you'll see, and I'm just letting this go, but it's all restatements of the exact thing she said in the scene before, right?
Oh, okay.
So I'll let this just go the entire way, just to show it off, at least.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I like this, where it auto-advances on its own on a timer. That's fun.
Yeah, this is how it works in Danganronpa, where like people will like talk in real time, and you have to basically present the contradictory evidence at the correct dialogue.
Okay.
So there's a degree of like you have to be certain what you're doing.
Right.
It's the talk screen, right? Because
He also drank whiskey.
Yeah.
That is correct.
You know he drank something at least, and he was clearly poisoned in some manner.
Yeah.
Well, also, even if like they don't know what the poison is, he had been drinking, so his talk screen wouldn't have come back clean. He had alcohol in his system.
Yeah.
I have had evidence that directly contradicts her, so I just need to find the right moment to present it. So, skip this, skip this, skip this, skip this. Says the talk screen is clean.
Hold it. After choosing to call on a statement, you need to respond with evidence. However, hover over the 3 cards that show up, and left-click to make your choice before the timer runs out.
It kind of turned into Seuss.
So it was this one, I think. Oh, wait, no, I'm stupid. Well, we'll get to see the one for doing the wrong one.
You're joking, right?
Just trying to keep things light.
That's supposed to be my job. So quit scabbing. Overruled.
Ouch.
That one I always fuck up because the answer is obviously the whiskey, but like there's 2 cups in evidence, and I just look at it and like, oh yeah, the cup.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and go that back through. But as you can see, it's pretty quick to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
Doing the thing. And we'll present the whiskey this time instead and do it right.
Very cute.
It's impossible for David Ashure's talk screen to be clean, and we all know it, since he was on camera drinking alcohol the night that he died.
Oh, no. No.
Discord did not get that at all.
Discord deleted that one.
There we
There you
go.
That makes sense.
And that scared you?
The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor. As it plainly states on the tox report itself, Dr. Ashore did have alcohol in his blood, but not at such concentration to be lethal. Yeah, my bad. When I said the tox screen was clean, I just meant it didn't tell the attending physicians anything they didn't already know.
Overall, a little more nitpicky than I like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum, more or less.
Shall we continue, Dr. Sato? If the tox screens were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Ashore's respiratory failure? During my autopsy, I analyzed his blood and was able to isolate a foreign compound. I don't think I'm doing the same voice, but it's fine.
It's okay.
So there was a lethal dose of a drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug that the hospital had never encountered before.
I would say, usually you do the Emma a little sleepier, but court is also explicitly where she wakes up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, makes sense.
I like the idea of putting a little mustard in her cheeks to differentiate, because she's a cute shorter lady.
As we've established, she's eating Buddy Buddies during the trial.
Yes, she's eating Buddy
right now.
Buddies.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's correct.
Also, your Sato's like a little sharper.
I think we're all going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for this substance, Your Honor.
The people don't object, Your Honor.
In that case, I'll put all my creative heuristics to work, coming up with an original, scientific, fitting name for this substance. A name like Omega. Omega-3.
Ah, there we go. There's her winning smile.
I love her!
That's the thing in salmon.
That name is already taken. Fine, call it Delta or whatever.
Delta, used in science to denote an unknown variable. Not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs, but yeah, our Delta matches no known public pharmacology or toxicology records. That being said, chemically, it does have all the hallmarks of being a general depressant.
I know the feeling.
So it stands to reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested. Why? I eliminated all possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it. And judging from his stomach contents, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. Shall I summarize things for the court?
Please! I wasn't listening that closely.
The victim died of respiratory failure. And his tox screen showed that his blood was clear of anything that could cause respiratory failure. Except for this unknown substance, the poison we've labeled Delta.
Well, that sounds like a textbook suicide. Should we wrap it up here?
Not quite yet, Your Honor. This may clearly be a poisoning, but there's at least one detail about this case that doesn't feel like a suicide at all. Like, oh, I can't answer yet. We know this, which is Jung was there. The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that had a witness sitting there watching it happen. I will try. I'm probably going to not do too many. I'm sorry for stepping over thing. I was just gonna say I'm probably not going to do too many of the failure things, just because they do get really costly the later we get into the thing, and I want to make sure we finish.
No.
This ain't 100% playthrough.
No.
Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not?
If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense an opportunity to cross-examine. Unless they're going to insist on testifying themselves.
How kind of you to offer! Ball's in my court now. So how do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. He died of respiratory failure. Thus, David committed suicide.
During blackjack, every piece of information you learn deals you a card. Choose only the questions that are logical and relevant, and only press if you think a line of questioning is worth continuing. Or else you'll go bust and lose credit. Hover over press to see what the follow-up question would be. You can only win blackjack when you reach exactly 21, which is how many pizza rolls I can eat in one sitting. So if you don't press further if you're already there, and don't ask the wrong questions.
So this is how cross-examining works in this game, which I think is really neat.
See.
Ooh.
With my cross-examination, I need to put a microscope over the weakest part of that argument, and hope that some cracks will appear under the pressure. So, we're not gonna go this one, because, like, yeah, obviously it was respiratory failure. So let's start with here. Are you sure it was ingested? Dr. Sato, you said that the subject had to have had ingested the Delta orally, but how sure can we actually be about that?
Pretty sure? I mean, I could go into detail about all the cavities that I checked, but...
So if we go to press, was it knowingly ingested? Which seems like a pretty good question to me.
Yeah.
I think so.
But how sure can we be that the subject ingested the Delta knowingly?
Well, we can't be sure of that. Certainly not just from an autopsy.
You said it must have been a liquid, yes? Would it have been a large amount?
Depends on the concentration of the delivery solution. It could have just been a drop.
The kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes?
Calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Withdrawn.
Ah, man. I wanted to jump on her case.
So, we got good off that. We'll do this one. Dr. Sato, you were only able to even identify the presence of this Delta after hours of work. Can you really be sure that this never-before-seen chemical can cause respiratory failure?
Well, I have had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that would act as a depressant. Ingest of enough of any depressant and respiratory failure would occur.
Pressing here pushes on the simulations bit, which in our case is a good idea.
Yeah.
You've ran simulations, so you haven't tested Delta on an actual person.
No, I haven't. That would be very difficult to do, given our extremely limited sample. Not to mention highly unethical.
Of course. But without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you've described.
Was there a question in that statement, Counselor?
You don't actually know for sure, do you? So, really, bitch?
No. Not yet, anyway.
Seems like that's... blackjack. Also, yeah, Woni, I agree. The law school knowledge really goes, like just drills in on how, like, realistically laid out, like, the weird asides and, like, formatting are. Like, I really enjoy it. It makes it feel very realistic. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. We all appreciate it. But it does seem like we're still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Ashure's death, wouldn't you say?
Well, poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation.
So there are other explanations for what happened.
Defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor.
It's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor.
The witness will answer the question.
Well, respiratory failure can be caused by illnesses. If he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease and his respiratory system was weakened... sorry, that's Emma. Undiagnosed pneumonia with his level of healthcare? It is technically possible.
I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. Ugh, that felt weak, but I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt wherever I can, however I can, it's just about all I can manage.
Detective Reyes. I'm just gonna keep talking to myself all night. All right.
I'm sorry. It's only like this for the first one. The second one
okay.
is mostly the Oatsy show.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Detective Reyes, you're one of the leads in investigating this crime scene. Yes, ma'am. And did you interview the MTs who first arrived on the scene? I did. They responded to an emergency signal from the home security console, located in the kitchen. What did they find when they arrived on the scene? The victim was unconscious on the floor of his parlor. He was receiving CPR from a witness, the individual who had called them. They were both airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Ashur was declared dead shortly after arriving there.
She's actually handling herself pretty well up on the stand. I half expected her to roll her eyes during the swearing in. But when you take into consideration her love for boot heel authority, she might be right at home here in the courtroom, the very seat of the state's power over the people.
The witness met with the deceased about a half hour before he fell ill, from 7:30 to 8 p.m. The two of them talked for some time and shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Ashur became distracted, lightheaded, and eventually non-responsive. And during the same time period, drinking the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves? None. Through a collaborative effort with Noble Electronics Security Division, we searched the entire building. But we found nothing unusual in any of the food or drink on the premises, including the bottle that the witness and the deceased drank from. So, what was your ultimate conclusion after investigating the scene? The whiskey bottle was clean. The witness's drink was clean. The only person who got sick was Dr. Ashur, drinking from a cup he had prepared. So it was our determination that David Ashur committed suicide by poisoning himself.
She's pretty tight-lipped up there, but I think she slipped up at least once. The police want to claim that they've eliminated every other possibility and covered every angle, but I know that there are a number of blind spots that they're not willing to admit to. So, this upright cup, the empty cup, and the mysterious drug.
Let's see.
Let's all take a gander.
He's the one who prepared their drinks.
That's true. Slip him something. That's also true. He slipped away to pour the to get the thing. That he himself poisoned.
This one's a little subtle.
Oh, hold on. Oh, there's still more. Okay. Kitchen, the lab, the basement. There's no poison anywhere else.
She slipped up there and made a claim she can't actually support. All I need to do is point it out, and then I'll get to watch her self-destruct, which should be fun.
That's correct. He's the one who repaired their drinks. Yeah, that's true.
Is it this?
Whoever...
It's not this one.
Okay.
No, because he brought the cups in.
It's this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they did not actually discover any poison in the cup. You can't make that claim, not when the evidence record clearly shows that the tests of Dr. Ashur's cup were inconclusive. You can't say he poisoned it if they don't know that there was actually even any poison in the cup to begin with.
Yeah.
The police can't claim he drank from a poisoned cup without first proving that his cup was, in fact, poisoned.
Capital P makes me think of the band instead.
Yeah.
You're talking a lot of sense, lady. Does it resolve, or do you have a response, D.A. Rockford?
Testing on the deceased cup has been inconclusive so far, Your Honor. I don't dispute that. Though I'd be surprised if the defense has any idea how else the poison could have possibly been delivered to Dr. Ashur alone.
Not at this time, but that's the funny thing about the burden of proof. It's not on the defense.
As we're all aware.
Just
Unless
has
you're
no
in
patience
LA.
for her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're in Japanifornia, then it is on you.
That's true.
Right? We all knew that. I definitely knew that.
So true, Oni. It was definitely delivered through the morphogenetic field. You're absolutely right. Also,
I love
also,
this judge. What an absolute like knockout character. So funny.
glycerin didn't used to crystallize until one day suddenly it did. This is true.
Yeah.
Now, if the people are done bemoaning that pesky innocent until proven guilty issue, perhaps I could begin my cross-examination.
Fire away, baby. Fire away.
Baby? Reyes's testimony is meant to show that David's the only one who could have poisoned himself. She'll be on guard and hard set against helping me. But if I keep her focus on eliminating other possibilities, I could get her to make my point for me before she even realizes what's happened. So,
It's the second.
Ever seen
two.
poisoning himself? Because we did not see. We have no conclusion that that's what happened.
Yeah.
yes, the important thing is that this one I remember is very wrong, because, like, yeah, obviously
Yeah,
not, because there's
obviously,
fucking
yeah.
cameras literally everywhere. So we'll do this one. Detective, we've been doing a lot of assuming and reasoning in quick succession, so I'll ask this plainly for the court. Is there any photographic evidence showing David Ashur adding anything to his drink that night?
No. Seems he had already poured for the both of them by the time he had returned to the parlor.
He had already poured? In that case, the next questions need to be when and what. We'll do this one next, I believe.
Okay.
Detective, isn't it possible that Dr. Ashur was poisoned off camera?
Possible. I don't know how else it would have been done. But that just goes to show it had to have been suicide. The only time he was off camera, he was all by himself.
Ah, I fucked up that one. I forgot.
Ah, it's okay.
The benefit, I will say, the benefit of having done all this the day it came out is that now we're getting to the trial sequences, and I don't actually remember the scripting perfectly.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah, I
actually
didn't-
get to get some real errors in here.
Yeah. Okay, so
Then it's
Let's
gotta be
see.
any poison in the kitchen.
Detective Reyes, during the course of your investigation, did you find any samples of Delta in the kitchen or parlor?
No.
That was a fast answer.
Well, it was a pretty easy question. If we had found poison at the scene of the crime, that'd be pretty important, don't you think?
What about in his lab, his bedroom, his basement?
No, no, and no. We didn't find Delta in any other unusual substance in any part of his penthouse.
Right. They never found any poison. No poison at all?
that's
Poison.
hold on.
At any point in the investigation, was poison found on the body of the deceased?
No.
He must have been searched. Did he have any capsules or vials, eyedroppers?
Didn't even have his wallet on him. Why?
Oh,
What?
I forget.
Wait, hold on. That should have been.
It was an ace and a 2, so.
No, yeah.
Do I have to do this one, or I forget?
What do you
Well, it's because we want it's weaker questions give weaker cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do this
So
one.
anyone else in the building is a pretty weak question.
The only people you saw on the cameras that night were Dr. Ashur and this witness, correct?
Yeah. There was no footage in the house of anyone else.
Are there any parts of the house that aren't recorded by camera?
Sure.
There we go.
There you
we
go.
are.
There are a number of rooms in the home's interior that don't have cameras in them.
So it's possible that there were other people there that night, because cameras weren't watching every room.
No, that's not possible. The only way up to the penthouse is through the building's elevator or the fire escape stairs, both of which are on camera. And that still wouldn't get you past his front door, which is also on camera. No one besides the two of them were there that day.
Now, we know we have 21, but I will
Right.
hover to see what the question would be. What about before that day? That one I
Okay.
think is pretty obviously not going to be
Yeah.
it.
I was gonna suggest someone very patient could just hide, but
It would be a hell of a thing to do.
yeah.
Also, they would have had recordings from anyone going up there at any
Yeah.
other point,
Right.
you know. But
And
Yeah,
not
yeah.
coming
Yeah.
back.
The important thing is that we do know there is another person there.
yes. Thank you for enlightening the court about this point, Detective.
What point?
Well, I think it's strange, don't you, Detective? I mean, how could he have possibly poisoned himself without first procuring some poison? Blackjack.
That's blackjack. What do you mean procure?
Where did it come from, Detective? The poison that you're so sure was dissolved in his drink. It can't have come from thin air, you understand? It had to have been in another container at some point.
Whatever it was in before, it probably evaporated.
All of it? It only took a small droplet to kill.
Your Honor, are you going to ask them to keep it civil?
In a minute, sure.
There wasn't any pill bottle in his bathroom or syringe in his pocket containing this apparently deadly substance. So how did he get it? What did he keep it in? The police want to claim that Dr. Ashur committed suicide because they've established that his guest never had an opportunity to kill him. But they failed to prove that the victim had the means to kill himself.
Then I guess I'll be the one to move things along. The Delta didn't come out of thin air, Counselor. And it didn't come from a syringe, either. Dr. Ashur was able to drip the poison right into his cup. Straight from the source.
Shit. That's way too specific to be a bluff.
Allow me to submit into evidence Exhibit C, or G, excuse me. A piece of machinery found in Dr. Ashur's laboratory. Sold under the product name Nanofacturer.
Oh, I know this one. It's used in delicate scientific work to produce nanomachines, chemical compound, and polymer.
That's the same machine I saw when Dawes gave me a tour of the production floor.
Very good, Your Honor. It's a valuable tool in any scientific laboratory, and Dr. Ashur was well acquainted with its use. As a matter of fact, he had a number of presets coded into it.
Even the android can see where this is going.
With just a few taps, he could reproduce any number of specific substances for his research. Or any other chemical his heart desired, really.
You think Randolph Mechanics would allow their product to be used to produce illicit chemicals?
Using the nanofacturer to make unlicensed drugs does go against their terms and conditions. So Dr. Ashur's warranty is certainly null and void. But they can't hard code their machines to prevent the production of a drug that hasn't been invented yet.
That's...
Dr. Ashur died when his respiratory system failed because of a depressant overdose. For him, it would have been peaceful, like falling asleep. You see, he didn't need to commission a synthetic drug from some street vendor or order an exotic poison from overseas. He could produce Delta at any time in the comfort of his own home. A quick and painless death, readily available in under a minute at the touch of a button. Specifically, preset number 19.
Oh shit!
Damn.
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 Damn!
I thought I actually had something for a moment there, but I was playing into Emma's hand the entire time.
Seems like we're done with this witness, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, while we have her up, I do need to pull up her profile.
Yes,
it's
Oh,
what
yeah.
does she like and dislike?
8084. She's 263 centimeters tall and weighs 300 kilograms.
Good her.
She likes raw salmon, running water, and gymnastics.
She hates criminals, contrarians, and pigeons. She is a self-assigned Libra. Her type,
Good for her.
open, obedient, observant, people.
Oh, people.
And also, she's very open about her 3 sizes.
She will list her 3 sizes.
Yeah,
Good
of course,
for
of
her.
course.
Yeah,
Look, if
yeah,
I had
of course.
109 bust, I would list my 3
Yeah,
sizes too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would feel remiss if I didn't pull that up at least once.
No, she's a delight.
Queen. But before we move on, perhaps we should take a moment and put together a timeline of events as we know them. Not for me, of course, just in case someone else might need it.
When he walks, here's my profile. Check out my massive titties. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Simple enough. We know that Dr. Ashore left the parlor and went downstairs to the basement at 7:36 p.m. That's where he got the whiskey. And the cups they drank from. The cameras show him returning to the parlor to drink with the witness at 7:40 p.m. And of course, we know that he fell ill and passed away shortly thereafter. Any objections so far, Counselor?
She has the timeline correct so far.
So
What's
good.
the rate? What's the rate? Okay.
Yeah, we can't raise anything on a stay or bluff. But that one we know that that's the sequence of events as we know it.
Yeah.
Not at this time, no. The timeline you've described is accurate as we know it.
As you say. With the slightest piece of evidence, we now know that Ashore could have easily dispensed the poison directly into his cup by placing it inside the manufacturer, activating the preset, and simply waiting 2 minutes. Easily accomplished during the 4 minutes he spent off camera from 7:36 to 7:40. Wouldn't you say?
But how long does it take for the elevator to go down and up?
I don't remember if they're specific, but this is a reason. She is suggesting a very reasonable time frame with our understanding.
Mhm.
Okay. Dang it.
Like, the elevator doesn't take that long. Because the thing is also his basement is just the floor below him, right?
Yeah, it's
I thought it was,
elevator.
yeah, I thought it was the basement.
No, it's not the basement of the whole
elevator,
building.
right.
It's the basement of the penthouse. They mention it's
Yeah.
technically the second from the top floor.
Right. Okay.
Ooh, or I'm just so excited about her. I want to take over her lines, but OT, that's you.
A complete timeline of events. He had the means, he had the only opportunity. Seems like we're about ready to wrap up here now.
Where are we on that loading bar of yours, Sarah?
At an 8 a.m.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Well, Counselor, are we done here?
We can't possibly be done here, or this is
We
it for
can't
our friend, so we
possibly-
just
yeah.
have to go for it.
Hold up.
Feels like we're missing at least one biggie here, folks. Namely, motive.
Oh, right, I knew that. I wasn't getting excited to finish early or anything.
This is a preliminary hearing, Counselor. Our focus should be on the evidence, so...
Just feels like an awful waste of taxpayer dollars to get us all down here for debate and not get to the truth of the matter, you know?
So... I was hoping we wouldn't have to go through this next part.
What are you talking about?
Your Honor, if it pleases the court...
Ooh, new evidence? Gimme.
Then she just eats it.
Yeah.
This is a recording of a phone conversation dated at 6:30 p.m. last night between the deceased and a man he was in a
no.
relationship with.
Hey, Ben, now you get a scene where you get to play 2 characters.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how bad this is gonna fuck us over.
Uh-huh.
A man named Isaac Porter.
Porter and David's breakup call? If Emma wants to present it here, now, then the content must be... Relevance, Your Honor?
Yeah, what bearing does this recording have on the case at hand?
It establishes what kind of emotional state the deceased was in on the day he died.
Cool! Begin playback.
Hello?
Always so soft-spoken.
Isaac? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. What's wrong?
Sorry, real quick. 80's making a very tonally inappropriate face down there.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you! Don't know. Guess I wasn't expecting you to pick up. Why not? Did you mean to call me? Yeah, I did. You gonna ask me how I've been? Yeah. How have you been? Christ, David. What's the matter? Whatever it is, whatever I did, I'm sorry. Whatever you did? That's alright, man. I'm sure you are sorry. I just don't want any more apologies from you. I'm sorry. Okay. And I don't think I want anything from you anymore, David. What do you mean? I shouldn't have done this. This was unnecessary. My bad, man, for not taking the hints. With you, it's always better left unsaid, right? More efficient that way, so you can keep working. Isaac, if I've been distant with you, or... Nah, you haven't been distant with me, or cold with me, or anything with me for a while now. Isaac, just forget it, man. Forget I called. Forget it all, yeah? Let's just forget we were ever anything but strangers. That's all we are now, anyway. Isaac, recently I've been distracted, I know. Nah, don't worry about it.
You had to briefly destroy a stranger.
Oh.
Really? We're good. Oh. Okay. So do you need anything, or should I...
Mm.
Where did you even get this?
All of Dr. Assure's incoming and outgoing phone calls were recorded by the building's penumbra system. And the recording continued for several seconds after each call was ended, for quality assurance.
Remind me to check the terms and conditions on my next phone bill.
Shall we hear the rest?
Gotta be the last time. The last time I let someone... The last time.
Oh, there.
It might just be a call, but it makes for pretty damning evidence at this point in the discussion. Emma's got her means, opportunity, and motive all lined up. So why is she looking at me like that?
That was depressing. Can we finish up without anything else that horrible?
Emma's never been apologetic in victory. So does that mean this is just... pity?
Less than 2 hours before Dr. Assure died, Isaac Porter ended their relationship over the phone. The court can make a reasonable assumption about what kind of mental state Dr. Assure was in that night.
That was a bad move, Miss Rockford.
And if the people have nothing further to add...
I've been feeling off my game all day. Caught between corporate inbreeders and ant-brain protesters and... But pitying me? Here and now? That's all it takes to get my blood properly boiling.
It's about time for...
Me to call my first witness, no?
You want to keep going? After that?
What are you doing, counselor?
Just calling the ultimate silver bullet, rock solid, slam dunk witness a girl could ask for.
Is here good? Does it matter where I put my hands?
Miss Starling, thank you for coming here today.
Of course, whatever I can do.
What is your relation to the deceased?
I was his executive assistant at Noble Electronics. I would arrange his meetings, coordinate communications between him and other departments, that sort of thing. Ultimate silver bullet?
Starling's the only play I have right now. The only stalling tool I have left. For now, I should just focus on getting as much information from her as possible. Whether or not it's useful, it'll at least buy me some time.
If you need to stall for time, put Larry Butts on the stand.
That's right. Laura Butts.
That's right.
While Jess was being sworn in, Sarah mentioned that the hard drive's about 60% decrypted. Considering the rate Sarah's gone at so far, there's maybe another hour left. I might be able to stall that long, if I talk real slow. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Dr. Ashur. Please answer them to the best of your ability.
Right.
Dr. Ashur was a well-known public figure, but was he well regarded professionally?
Of course. Dr. Ashur's work set the bar for the entire automated dependent world.
Stay focused, Spearmint. You say you coordinated his communications. Were there ever threats? Did people ever express an intent to harm him?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Intent?
I'm feeling like that's gonna be, sustained.
Did anyone ever threaten him?
There were times when he was the focus of negative attention.
How so?
Dr. Ashur was a favorite subject of many conspiracy theorists. With all his contributions to the field, it was easy for them to make claims about his influence. They'd say that his work was plagiarized, or that he was hiding illegal subcommands in the technology he helped develop.
And people would contact him about these conspiracy theories.
Relevance?
Whether or not people wanted to kill him.
Well...
Withdrawn.
Miss Starling?
People would attempt to contact him, yes. But their messages were always too vague for the police to take action on. They would say that he belonged in jail, or that he couldn't avoid the truth, or that someone should do something to shut him up.
Did they ever talk about hurting him?
Yes. But I always turned those messages straight over to the police.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on the record. Yeesh, who writes this stuff?
All of those cases have long since been resolved, Your Honor. And none of the parties involved have had any contact with David Ashur in years. The police take harassment very seriously. Something you want to add, Counselor?
Just clearing my throat. May I continue? You worked with Dr. Ashur for many years. Did you have a relationship outside of work? Did you ever talk about anything besides professional concerns?
Sure, we've gone out to dinner or met on the weekends. I think he liked to pick my brains as he needed relationship advice a lot. Even if he didn't realize that was what he was asking for. I'd like to think that he knew he could talk to me, but...
Did he ever talk to you, or to your knowledge, anyone else, about hurting himself?
God, no, never!
Do you know of any history he might have had with mental illness, depression, anxiety?
No.
So when you heard the people argue that Dr. Ashur had done this to himself...
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
You're saying that you can't believe...
Objection.
On what grounds?
Asked and answered. Stalling. And also, the people have documents that would be of interest to the court in this matter.
You see. And what matter specifically are you referring to?
The deceased mental health history.
Uh-oh.
Emma wouldn't be speaking up if she didn't have something real. So what the hell is this about?
We have private correspondences that describe...
If they're private, then they should not have been obtained by the people without his permission.
He can't give permission if he's already dead, and we're well within our rights to obtain evidence as it pertains to his crime.
Convincing.
Damn. I didn't honestly expect to stop her from admitting her evidence into the record, but I was hoping to at least slow her. Where are you on that footage?
77%. Approximately.
I need to buy whatever time I can, however I can, even if that means running out the clock as a punching bag.
I have here messages between Dr. Ashore and a psychiatrist he was meeting with and speaking to for the past year, along with paperwork detailing how this treatment was covered under his platinum plan.
Platinum?
I don't intend to air all of Dr. Ashore's secrets here in the court.
Oh. Okay, I guess.
But I am prepared to read excerpts from messages and transcripts from phone calls, which, when put together, paint a clear picture of the kind of stress Dr. Ashore was experiencing, and the dark thoughts he was struggling with.
Transcripts of his phone calls?
I'll admit them into evidence, assuming there are no objections.
You bet your ass we got objections.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'll gladly object. On the grounds of foundation. Where did you say you got this?
It was retrieved from his digital records. There's no reason to doubt its authenticity.
Even if I were to point out that David had an executive level 4 plan and not a platinum plan?
What?
Really? Really?
Yes, really. It's all there in the record.
This is easily explained. David had an executive plan that Noble managed for him. And he was also seeing with and he was also seeing the psychiatrist, both in person and over the phone. Your own witness has attested that he dealt with stalkers and was worried for his privacy. So it's easy enough to reason that he had a separate insurance policy that he paid for on his own. Even if only to keep one thing out of Noble's grasp.
Sure, easy enough to make that assumption. But that doesn't make it correct. David used separate insurance to hide this psychiatrist from Noble's spying? No, he was smarter than that. Now, I know what this is, but we'll go over the things. We have Jung's testimony, the evaluation of Sarah's financial worth, the building calls being recorded, and the autopsy report. Does anyone have any guesses?
Hold on. All the psychiatry calls were recorded.
Uh-huh.
Do we have those records? Is that part of the records that Emma has?
I mean, she is presumably mentioning the records are, like, recorded calls.
Okay.
But for why it wouldn't make sense for him to have a separate plan in order to maintain his privacy.
Right.
Wouldn't it be the
Well, it would be the recorded calls because if everything's recorded, he would have no way to keep anything private from Noble. He would need a separate health plan.
Yeah.
Right?
David may very well have wanted a private psychiatrist, someone who didn't work for Noble, who'd have his best interests at heart. But if so, he wouldn't have contacted them over the phone. Not when he knew all his phone calls were being recorded.
Yep. Good job, Ben.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's right.
I
love that Emma face.
Uh-huh.
She pissed.
Ooh, snake.
David Asher was well versed in having every aspect of his life overanalyzed by data-hungry parasites. Do you really think he would try and hide mental health problems from them with a second insurance policy?
Apparently, yes, since I'm standing here with evidence that shows exactly that.
Does it, though?
Pardon me?
Yeah, like, what exactly are you suggesting, counselor?
Still not done decrypting?
That's difficult to...
Right. What the hell? Might as well swing for the fences at this point. I'm not trying to muddle the issue or confuse the court, Your Honor, and I would never make outlandish, unsubstantiated claims just for the sake of causing drama.
What are you...
I'm merely concerned that D.A. Rockford has been an unwitting pawn in an act of corporate espionage.
What?
If the markets were to open Monday with people believing that David Ashur, the man who programmed the brain of every noble android, was battling mental health issues for the last several months?
Objection! Mischaracterization! Foundation? All the rest? There are no corporate spies in this courtroom, counselor, and there are no boogeymen hiding under the bench.
Oh, thank God.
David Ashur was a once-in-a-generation intellect and an extremely valuable human asset to his employers, and his employers' many enemies would do whatever it takes to destroy his credibility now that he can't defend himself.
And he was also your personal... You shouldn't even be here arguing this case in the place, counselor. Now you're trying to call the police as evidence, gathering and... Oh wait, that's a horrible line read. That's okay.
I'm just pulling it back up.
Thank you. Now you're trying to call the police as evidence gathering into question?
And then...
All because you can't admit for the past several months your friend has been seeing a psychiatrist every Monday, and you didn't know.
Right for the jugular on that one, Emma. That is...
Sorry, but like... Did you still need me up here?
The witness will refrain from interrupting when girls are fighting!
Yes, ma'am.
With how my luck's been so far, Sarah's progress bar is probably moving backwards right about now. And Emma's patience is wearing thin. This could be my last shot to create any kind of reasonable doubt. I'd be happy to wrap up my questioning if the court will allow.
That seems... cool with me.
And my evidence, Your Honor, will it be entered into the record?
I'd like to hear a bit more testimony before deciding.
That's fine, Your Honor. As you were, counselor.
At this stage of the game, with the score where it's at, I can probably only ask one more question. Better make it count. Miss Starling, we're all here trying to figure out what happened to Dr. Ashur. Tell me, when did you last... I'm not going to fuck around with this one, because as you can see, our blind is -12 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say from personal experience, most of the wrong ones have the same dialogue, which is like, no, that's a fucking stupid question.
Right.
When was the last time you spoke with Dr. Ashur, Miss Starling?
Well, that's pretty easy to figure out. Let me just... Yeah, it was last night at 6:57 p.m. We texted back and forth. And do we feel that's relevant, Your Honor?
Relevant?
Yes.
It could very well be the single most important piece of evidence in this whole trial.
What?
I just got chills. Don't know why, though.
Must be a coolant leak. The defense doesn't know what they're talking about.
On the contrary, these texts are a vital piece of evidence that changed the timeline of events as we know them. We know what happened to David last night, generally speaking, but the order of events is critical, especially if Emma wants to make claims about David's state of mind.
Ben?
Oh, sorry. Drag cards from your hand onto the slots in chronological order, left to right. You can pick a card back up and place it in another slot if you change your mind. Or drop it outside any slot to return it to your hand. Fill all the slots to submit your answer.
Crank this up.
Yeah.
So,
Alright.
this happens at 6:30.
Yes.
No.
That one. The texts.
Well, here's the thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is the drinking, right?
Yeah.
And he faints at the end. He texts her between his phone call with the breakup boyfriend and meeting you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Thanks to Miss Starling, we've now got a much clearer picture of the night's events. We know that Isaac Porter and David Ashore broke up at 6:30 p.m.
And I was rooting for them so hard.
And we know that David messaged his assistant, Miss Starling, at 6:57. David is on camera with the witness from 7:30 to 8 p.m., and he was declared dead not long after.
The people don't object to that timeline of events. But we do question Counselor Morgan's reason for belaboring it.
One last question, Miss Starling.
Yeah?
What was the nature of your conversation with Dr. Ashore?
Well, actually, we talked about you. Huh? And how he wanted you to have his android. That android, there. Putting his affairs in order, I guess.
Oh, oof.
It might appear that way.
Hmm?
Can you specify what his instructions were exactly? How did he want this done?
Well, he wanted me to bring you to his penthouse and help you get set up as the android's new owner.
Yes, Mrs. Starling, but when did he want this to happen?
Well, he said it was pretty urgent. And so I should do it first thing Tuesday morning. What, Tuesday?
First thing Tuesday morning. David Ashore didn't like doing anything on Mondays. And was he going to be in attendance?
Yeah. Well, actually, yes. He said he would work from home to help us. No way he intended for us to have that much trouble getting to... Oh. Oh!
To summarize, then, half an hour after he had already had his breakup and half an hour before his guest had arrived, he was planning an appointment that would require his presence with you for next Tuesday.
That's right, he was!
Not something you would think to do if you were planning on dying that very night.
Yeah, you're right! That's...
Your Honor, if David Ashore was preparing for the week ahead a mere hour before he passed away, don't you think the people's assumptions about his mental state ought to be re-examined?
That's...
Logic is sound. Do the people have a rebuttal?
If the court will just allow a moment.
Sounds like an opening to me. If we assume that Dr. Ashore was not suicidal and therefore did not kill himself, we must then ask ourselves who else had the means, motive, and opportunity to take his life. Until now, we've taken for granted this idea that Delta must have come from his manufacturer, from inside the house.
I don't know.
Not right now. But even if that's true, which it may not be, that doesn't mean that he was the one who used the manufacturer.
I don't know.
Would you allow me one moment to confer, Your Honor?
Sure, why not throw away all your momentum?
I'm in the middle of something, Sarah. I can't afford to let Rockford...
I've gained access to the hard drive's files.
What? Seriously?
As I said, progress with this type of encryption is exponential. It can be difficult to estimate.
Right, okay. Do you have the footage from last night?
I have the file.
Have you watched it?
I thought you'd want to know right away.
Suppose it doesn't matter. Either this has our silver bullet and we've got a case, or it doesn't and everything falls apart.
Seems quite risky.
It's the least risky path to victory we have. Seeing how it's the only path to victory we have. Screw it. Upload it to the court computer.
Yes, Ed and I.
Thank you for your patience, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm awake. I'm awake. And I'm getting a pretty hefty chunk of video data for breakfast.
Nom 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 nom.
You're submitting security footage into evidence? New security footage?
The police corroborated the witness's testimony using the house's cameras. Security cameras installed by Noble as part of the penumbra system that showed the parlor, the kitchen, but not the basement. During the course of my investigation, I uncovered a hidden security circuit buried in the deceased's own home system.
You... what?
The people say that the Delta must have been in Dr. Assure's cup because there's no other way for him to have ingested it. But we never saw him or anyone else put anything in his cup on camera.
Because he must have poisoned his own drink off camera.
Exactly.
What?
That's the only possible explanation, that he added the Delta to his drink off camera. He placed his cup inside the manufacturer, activated it, waited 2 minutes, and then walked upstairs to his death. But I'm about to present the court footage retrieved from his basement. Footage that will show that by the time he retrieved the cups in the basement, it was already past 7:38, meaning he didn't have the opportunity to poison himself.
One clip of footage will prove all that?
If it doesn't, I'm completely screwed.
This is absolutely a Phoenix Wright move.
Yeah.
Present evidence that you are not even sure what's on it, but it better be what you hope it is.
Uh-huh. But it's not like I can lose a preliminary hearing extra hard. Anything other than a royal flush here means I'm bust. So better to be the Joker who dances.
Data has been entered into the court record.
Sarah, show us when Dr. Assure entered the basement.
Yes, Adonai. I'll search for it now. Here.
On screen,
On screen.
that's the bar, and the timestamp is 7:36. There. David's grabbing the bottle of Rose River. And leaving.
At 7:37. Just under the wire, as it were.
Is that it then? I came this far just to... Wait. Did he have the cups with him?
Is there sound?
Not at all.
Keep going. If he had to go back to get the cups...
Counselor. What's that android doing on camera? It's at the bar. The android gave him the cups.
Shit. Shit.
That machine never stepped on camera up.
I
Not
knew it,
once.
I knew it, I knew it, I knew it.
Oh, I was thinking it, but I didn't want to say it.
We don't know about its whereabouts on the day of his death. It could have poisoned the cup whenever it wanted.
Shit, shit.
What is this? I don't understand.
Your Honor, have the courtroom cleared.
Understood. Please, someone. I don't know what's going on.
Sarah, you need to shut down.
Please, tell me what I'm looking at. I don't remember any of that.
Do we have callers available?
Sarah, shut down now.
Renee, please. Please, tell me what I...
That's an order.
Me. Me.
I'm weak to me.
Yeah, me too.
Is it off?
Yeah, it's off. I've seen this before. It won't do anything until I reactivate it.
We don't know that. We don't know anything about this thing anymore.
That's...
Your Honor. In light of this most recent evidence, the people would like to withdraw their charges against Dr. Assure and end this preliminary hearing. It has been made abundantly clear that Dr. Assure did not commit suicide.
Very well. The charges are withdrawn, and the defendant is free to go. Well, as free as he can be in the afterlife. This case is dismissed.
Yay, we win!
Congratulations, Counselor Morgan!
We did it!
Yay. Chalk up another victory for Morgan Esquire. Now all I have to do is deal with the shitstorm of the decade. Well, I managed to prove that David didn't kill himself, and in the process, I proved that his android did. I proved that the android that's been walking around with me all day is capable of murder. A killer robot. A true unbound AI with military-grade specs and at least one death to its name already. So much for avoiding the public eye.
Thank you for coming here on such short notice, Judge Barrows.
I think this one's Ben, right?
Huh. As if I'm doing you some kind of favor. I didn't realize I had any choice in the matter. This isn't some bad joke, is it, Miss Rockford?
I'm afraid not, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you, Oni Wasp. My first clip on the channel, wow!
Oh my god!
Fancy.
Wow.
You know, I like the adjutants. I always have. They deal with the criminal trials that bookish, quiet, contemplative people like me can spend all day typing up arguments for obscure legal treatises. That's what I like to do. I don't like coming down here and dealing with all this. Heavy-handedness.
Won't someone toiling away under the police state think of the poor bureaucrats?
And I certainly don't like making rulings on anything as spicy as AI.
She can barely bring herself to say it.
And you, Counselor Morgan, you're the one it's registered to?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So what did it do exactly? Torture an animal? Shut down a hospital? Crash a coin market?
We have it on camera poisoning a man. Killing its creator.
You mean Dr. Ashore?
Rory in the chat, they have a chance to make this a microplastic story on the backswing, like the red Solo Cups of the future are so unimaginably shitty they kill you 4% of the time. God, that version of the Devil would be maybe even more peak than it already is. Sorry to backdoor spoiler that it's not about bad microplastic cups killing you 4% of the time. I'm sorry.
God damn.
Bummer. That is... We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. All we can do is try to wrap it up quickly. Let's make haste. Adjutant, do you have the case number?
Case ID is 241277A. Docket number YT9843188282.
Oh, thank you. Can you repeat that?
YT9843188282.
I think I lost you after the first 8.
I have it copied here.
And what are the security procedures for an incident of this nature?
A data quarantine is to be established around any networks the subject was exposed to for more than 66 seconds. All offending hardware is to be destroyed immediately through incineration at a minimum temperature of 3,422 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes.
Sorry, Spearmint. There's nothing to be done. No debate to be had. This isn't even a decision. Sorry, Sarah. Not Spearmint. David gave you that name. I should at least make the effort to use it.
That sounds very hot. Do we have furnaces that get that hot?
Yes, there's a number of industrial furnaces within the city limits that I could recommend.
Sorry? Why should I be sorry, anyway? I fulfilled the request. Favor repaid. I don't owe Sarah anything, especially not if it killed my friend.
Right, Morgan?
I'm sorry?
I was just saying how grateful I am that we have the procedures for this kind of thing all laid out already.
Yep, keeps things nice and simple.
It can feel somewhat severe going through these steps so quickly, but...
But nothing, Your Honor. Artificial intelligence is perhaps the greatest threat to human civilization and the sanctity of life there's ever been. Any piece of software, big or small, no matter the vessel, if it can violate the tenets it was programmed with, it has the potential to cripple our nation in a matter of moments.
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself.
Straight from the textbook, almost.
Well, I mean it. Monsters like that don't belong in this world. They should never have been born in the first place. Destroying them is a kindness. And if anyone's to blame, it's...
Hmm.
No
one's blaming you, Counselor. You couldn't have known you were in possession of an AI.
I'm talking too much. Probably just tired. Oh, shit. My double clicks! Probably just tired. It's been a long day, and I've had a lot of thoughts.
Me.
Fuck, god damn it. Sorry, Sarah. Whatever you are. You were just born wrong. Not your fault, necessarily. If it were up to me, you'd get points for trying. Trying to be something more. Trying to be something at all. Or anything other than what you are. It was stupid, of course. And futile. And pointless. Spending hours in front of a TV or laying in bed staring at your phone. Watching stupid movies, trying to papier-mâché an ill-fitted mask of humanity out of the scraps you could tear out of magazines. Practicing expressions, memorizing lines, and trying to get something to take root and grow despite knowing you'd have nothing to feed on. Stupid.
Oh, cute.
Morgan?
What was that, Counselor?
I said objection.
And what are you objecting to?
What are you doing, Morgan?
I'm a defense attorney. This is what I do.
I understand that you've been through a lot these past few hours, Counselor. But there's nothing to defend.
On the contrary, Your Honor. I have to defend myself.
Pardon?
You say that this android, Sarah, is an AI because it broke its tenets.
Obviously.
And you believe it broke its tenets because of this newly discovered footage that appears to show it committing murder via poison.
All true, and no laws broken on your part.
Here it comes. Never thought I'd be incriminating myself in the courtroom just to make a point. Don't you dare try and entrap me on this. So we have a very good thing. I think it's it. Actually, let me double check.
Hold on, let's take a look at Noble Contract.
It's definitely not this one, though. This does have a funny dialogue for trying to use it, which is, I'm not pulling out a fucking gun in a courtroom.
Yeah.
What is... Okay.
It's pretty simple, actually. If the state is making the claim that Sarah is an AI, they're accusing me of committing a felony, because I'm the legal owner of that android.
What the hell are you doing?
And if the state wants to charge me with owning an AI, I will not take that lying down. I know my rights.
Counselor, your argument is...
self-defeating. Listen to yourself, Counselor. You claim that Sarah is just an android, product that will be obsolete in a year. But you've only known it for a few hours. You've only owned it for a matter...
Oops. Sarah,
Can I get like a real quick reconnect from you? I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right.
We got
Maybe
most
we're
of this
back.
line, but I wanted to make sure that the rest of the performance is going to come through clear.
Yeah.
I don't want you to waste your valiant efforts.
Thank you. You've only known it for a few hours. You've only owned it for a matter of minutes. And yet, here you are risking a felony charge to save it from being demolished.
Because you're wrong.
And I know you wouldn't care.
Love that.
Me?
Not unless this android was something special.
Look at us. Me arguing that I'm guilty and Emma arguing that I'm a softie. It'd be funny if it wasn't so... fun. You think there's no reason I'd want to save this android from destruction, other than feelings of personal attachment? This one, we have a very good answer for.
The valuation, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah!
I can think of at least one reason why I don't want you to turn Sarah into slag. One very convincing reason. Or very convincing number.
Look at all them zeros.
What is that?
That number is Sarah's estimated financial value on the collector's market.
You've gotta be.
I got it from an insurance evaluation algorithm. They're designed to lowball you.
That does seem like a reasonable incentive for you to want to keep your android intact.
It's a free country, Your Honor. I have a right to defend myself. And we have a free market, so I have a responsibility to defend my financial interests.
Your Honor, a trial like this would be...
I'm not going to let you turn this courtroom into a circus, Morgan. You can't spend the next half-decade bringing in expert after expert to testify on the philosophical distinction between AIs and ads. Spiraling into appeal after appeal all while the media... This machine appears to have willfully killed a man. The public needs answers. Now.
Of course, Your Honor. I have neither the desire nor the resources to get into a drawn-out battle with the state over what constitutes an illegal machine intellect.
So?
The state says my android, my property, killed a man in violation of its tenets, so they want me to take my property and destroy it. I'll prove that my machine didn't harm anyone, so the state will have no reason to suspect it's an AI, and I'll get to keep my property. Unlawful seizure, thwarted.
Don't be cute. I feel a stomach ulcer coming on. Fine. You'll have your day in court, but it'll be one day. Tomorrow. Prove that this machine didn't kill Dr. Ashur. No. Prove that it couldn't have killed him. Anything less than absolute proof and I'll have the damn thing obliterated. And you'll also be looking at a very real sentencing for the public unrest you'll have enabled.
Yes, Your Honor.
D.A. Rockford, what I'm asking of you is just as heavy. Find the truth by the end of tomorrow. We can't settle for anything less. Win or lose, there can be no doubts about the outcome of this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just so depressed at the idea of having to do more work.
And now, I need to go lie down.
Here I come.
You can power down.
No.
She
I
just makes
love
the
her
windows-
adjective!
Adjutant's so good.
Morgan, I misjudged you.
At what point?
Whenever I wrote you off as a small-time defense attorney just trying to tread water.
That is so sweet of you to say, Emma.
There's layers to you. You've got backbone.
Like an onion.
Teeth, even.
Like an onion!
You're gonna make me blush.
People talk about your kind like you're boxing against the state, fighting the man. But most defense attorneys wouldn't know a cyberpunk if they walked up to them on the street and shot him. Meanwhile, you've just signed up to do 15 rounds challenging the state's authority. Why?
Not sure exactly.
For David?
Yeah, probably. Probably just me being sentimental. But if I had to pick a more lofty reason, well, I think it's all the moralizing. People can be evil. They can choose to do evil things for evil reasons. And if you want to execute them for that, you'll hear no complaint from me. But animals can't be evil. Information can't be evil. Ideas can't be evil. Guess I'm not convinced AI can be evil either. Whatever else I get up to, I don't want to stand with the book burners of the world.
You're more high-minded than I realized. You sure you're in the right line of work?
Can't see myself doing anything else.
Hmm. Good luck, Morgan.
Hmm?
There are book burners on all sides these days.
I talked a big game just now, but I'm in an even deeper hole than I was when I was trying to prove David's innocence. Doubt won't be enough this time. I need to find the actual culprit, no matter what. I'm going to take a quick restroom
I have
break
to
as we go to
pee.
the next scene.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
let's take
Let's do
a couple
that.
minutes. We'll be
We'll be
back
right
in a
back.
little
Yeah.
bit.
Hey.
Oh. Did we feed Peanut? Okay, we'll feed him now. You handsome pig.
Hello, I'm back. Yes, Rory, I put your art on the thing because I thought it was cute. I showed it off at the beginning of, I think, the, what's it? Why am I blanking on the name now? I did a stream for Sorry We're Closed the other day, and I think I showed it. I showed off the actual like art in the preview before that, but I wanted to shove it on here because it's so like appropriate for the vibe, and because the art's super cute, and I want people to look at it because it's very cute. So thank you. I think I put a little in the description blurbs. I put a little credit for you as well to make sure that everyone knows whose wonderful handiwork this little creature is.
Who drew this little goblin?
That would be Truck Champs.
Who's this little goblin?
That's me.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm some sort of goblin creature.
Hello.
I see.
I've also
man.
returned.
No. I'll flip us back over to the main stream layout, though, since we're just waiting on
Yes.
Sarah. And I want to establish that we're all coming back.
I want to imagine that she's what the Ace Attorney Judge's wife would be like.
Yeah, I could see that. I do love the idea that the judge is married to another judge.
I mean,
you
of
know.
course. It's the only thing.
It only makes sense.
Yeah.
Ooh, of the devil class versus swag alignment.
Well, none of them have class.
I guess
I'd
that's
argue-
true.
Maybe David?
I'd argue David definitely has some
David
class.
has class.
And what did he get for it?
Death.
Killed.
League of Legends, Your Honor, death. Morgan presents as having class, but is actually swagged up.
It's
This
in.
this is true. Farah Reyes, here's the thing, Farah Reyes is swagless, but also doesn't have class. I think she might be the one who's in the middle of the alignment chart. You know,
She's neutral.
I think Kasim London has both swag and class, making him like sort of the in this analogy, Farah Reyes is the neutral and Kasim London is the androgyne of the swag and class gender dichotomy.
London had class as a young man,
But it
has
aged
become
into swag.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
like a fine wine.
If,
That
I'm
makes sense.
back.
hi, if anyone ever accuses you of being like a cowboy, that means you have swag categorically.
That's correct.
Here's the thing. I was thinking about like shipping dynamics or whatever for this because it's just my want. And I was thinking about it's like, oh, I don't have anything for Kasim London. And it's like, well, for one, I've assumed him preferring men, and there aren't a whole lot of single men in the story so far. But on the off chance he's not, I'm just imagining somewhere on blah, Jess Starling is saying shit like, men who over the age of 60 who take care of themselves pretty fine though, and like reposting things on her 18+ private say save a horse, ride a cowboy.
That's correct.
So like in that world, I pray for her and her success and her ventures.
Every single day I pray for Jess Starling to snag that old man.
However, I feel like that old man. I'm of two minds. I feel like he's definitely prefers men, but also I feel like he's just like one of those guys who's like effortlessly bisexual in the way that like what's his fucking name? The most recent James Bond actor.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. Yes.
Yeah, where like Daniel Craig just talks about how like set experiences where he'd be like tickling one of his co-stars nuts with a feather or whatever. Like it's the most casual thing in the world.
Yeah,
normal for boys.
Kasim likes like 90% men, and Jess really hopes she's in the 10% of women that he likes. But she doesn't know for sure yet.
She prays every day. And
She's working on
it, girl.
She's working on it. But I think with that, we're ready to get back into this. We're not going to get to the second trial segment tonight, obviously, but we will make probably good headway on the second investigation part, which is a bit shorter than the first one, because it has so much less shit to cover.
Classic Phoenix, right?
Yeah, other one, dude. Inverse of the Major, absolutely. Kasim London is the gender inversion of Major Motoko Kusanagi.
Totally.
Yeah, actually.
Balding swag, yeah, I can see that. He's still got a full head of hair, but I feel like once he hits like 70 or 80 and like the inevitability of gene decay finally gets to him, he'll still rock it,
But he's gonna go bald like Walton Goggins is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all forehead until he's like halfway to the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We're back in the precinct.
So they're not just gonna let you walk around with Sarah, right? Like she's
No.
Okay. Unfortunate, but logical.
So is that door locked?
Yeah, of course.
Even though they've got it collared?
It's a precaution.
If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do?
Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Can't have Schrodinger's cat if the box isn't closed.
Visual novel!
Take a drink!
You
we
can't
did it, everyone! Chug!
I feel like it is required by law that any visual novel made for any reason has to bring up like intro philosophy thought experiments.
You know what? I think this is proof that Ace Attorney is not a visual novel, because I don't think they ever bring up Schrodinger's cat in Ace Attorney.
That's how you know it's that's how you know it's an adventure game instead.
We'll have to do Mace Attorney and play through the original trilogy, because I feel like there is definitely somewhere in the first game where it could have been brought up.
Ben has called his shot, and we're going to get Great Ace Attorney 3, and Holmes is going to talk about this brand new finding on the concept of quantum physics.
We're just gonna actually talk to Schrodinger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they got that one Japanese author. You could just have literally Schrodinger. Why not?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
So long as the door's locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it?
So, how scared are they?
The higher-ups? Not sure scared is the right word.
It's just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego.
Nah, I mean it. I think they're bloodthirsty.
I have a right to defend myself, don't I?
I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who will be at the center of a bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow.
I like, by the way, that he calls her Tiger, because in a different world you could imagine that being flirty, but you know that he's afraid of her.
Yeah, totally.
He's like, yeah, no, she'll kill me.
Like a tiger, exactly.
That girl's a real Bengal. Get the hell away from me.
You think they're gonna go after Noble? Break their monopoly?
I think they want to take their monopoly.
Nationalize the android industry?
If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse.
You're joking. The state...
Has done it plenty of times before.
So I won't go into the terminology for everything just because it's not a complete playthrough, but part of what is a little bit of the tension happening here is that, like, there was an implied in some of the stuff, like the 20 or 30 years before this were like super laissez-faire, right? Mm-hmm. Because like all the economies of the world were failing and they were doing everything possible to get them back up. But one of the things that's happened now that like the global economy has stabilized again is that states of varying sizes use the threat of nationalization to keep corporations in line, which I wish would happen in modern history. That would be so good.
That were me. God, I've seen what you've done for the world of the devil, and I know you can do it for me too.
Before we move on, real quick, I'm gonna get out my soapbox a little bit here, but God, it really, like, I've been between Cyberpunk 2077 and between the Zoe Ash novels I've been reading, man, even our horrible cyberpunk capitalist dystopias paint a better future for us than the one we have right now.
It's the lamest, dorkiest version of the fucking cyberpunk dystopia.
Folks, this wouldn't have happened if we stopped making fun of weird, rich, middle-aged uncles who have a train in their basement.
It's so true!
So true.
God almighty. There's not even any fucking neon. We don't even get the neon.
Not since the 60s.
Which wasn't that long ago for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. London, you're not that old.
Oh, he is like 60.
Yes, Starling, just
that's
in the
only
background,
50.
like, I think I have COVID.
Also,
Exactly.
Technically, only 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I thought it was like 2080 for some reason.
Well, it's 2086, but that means 15 years ago would have been 2069.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
So, the same state that tells us to be terrified of AIs lurking on the old net or biding their time in forgotten satellites sees all this as nothing more than an opportunity.
Well, they do genuinely want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate, an argument, a trial? Can't we just hook it up to a court computer, see if it has the tenets or not? Pop the hood, as they say.
Who says that?
Lots of people used to say it.
I can't not love him.
Well, for starters, they're all scared to death about a contagion.
They figure anything they let an AI connect to they can't trust? Then why the collar?
Collars are too simple to hack. Just a really strong electromagnet held in place with lock and key.
They just did the thing that they do with infant cats where you just pinch the back of her neck and she just shuts down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So I think there's also an explanation, a thing for the collars, but basically what it is, it's a giant magnet that just interrupts the ability for like cybernetic nervous systems to actually send nerve impulses because like the signal is just fucking obliterated by the magnet.
Mm-hmm.
So you put a collar on like it's for modded people normally, but like you put it on Android for instance, and it can no longer like move or has extremely limited motor control from the neck down. Is the idea?
Maybe so. Feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test. Something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had with the witch trials.
Burn them all and let God sort out the rest.
You have to reference.
You got any polygraphs here at the station?
Lie detectors? Yeah, got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan, take your pick. You're not going to try and use one of those on the bot, are you?
All those fancy lie detectors lying around. The DA's office never asks for them, do they?
Nope. Nah, we got perps who offer to take a test when they're at wit's end, but the DAs never submit the results as evidence.
You ever wonder why?
Guess I always figured it was because the tests could be beaten.
The tests can be beaten. 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000. It can be done. Some people are just that good at lying, she says with this face.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't really matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubt. People decide whether you're lying or telling the truth long before they hook you up to a polygraph. If the results don't match their initial impression, then it must be a fluke, a 1 in a million mistake.
They'll never trust a machine more than their own intuition.
And no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt.
So they can run the trial, choose a sentence, but they don't get a vote on the jury.
They don't get a vote anywhere.
Why bring it up then?
Because I'm sure there are tests, devices, experts I could employ to analyze Sarah, but your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it is an AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test. Or hack the device, fool the expert.
All our fancy 21st century tech. And we still fall back on the old drumhead court-martial.
So, am I gonna set off any alarms if I go and turn it on?
Nah, you should be okay. If it lunges at you, I could always just put a hole in its head.
Might take more than one shot to... Wait, what, from outside? You're not coming in. I need to speak with it in private.
It's a machine, not a suspect. It doesn't have a right to counsel. Or a right to privacy. Or any rights at all, actually.
Then it's a good thing I came prepared. Of course it doesn't have rights. But I do. Including a reasonable expectation of privacy.
In a police station? Tiger, you don't.
It's my medical android.
Pardon?
I have to discuss a health issue with it.
Seriously?
I have to talk about a medical concern with my android, and I don't want you listening in.
That's your medical android? Like your nurse?
As of last night, I was already at the courthouse. Just had to take the elevator and do some paperwork. You can check if you don't believe me.
No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on med confidentiality, and you don't seem like the bluffing type.
Statement of the century. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for.
Listen, I won't dispute whatever medical emergency you...
Lower back pain.
She's got big boobs, yeah.
You might be going through.
I love, I had the same read, Sarah. I love that she comes up with the medical excuse of like, well, what would I have as a large-breasted woman?
That's correct. Lower back pain, I know.
But I also can't just... Look. I'm going to get something from the vending machine. I think it'll take me about half an hour.
Are you going downtown?
Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know? Gets jammed a lot.
Thanks.
You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled something trying to move it myself. But small.
Small isn't quite the right word. The word he's looking for is young. But that's not an adjective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Or potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. I don't like this room. Not sure why. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. A modern haunting. Are you going to wake up when I tell you to this time? Or do we have to do the whole meet cute over again?
Where am I? Why don't I know where I am?
For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel?
What is this? We were at the courthouse, the footage. This numbness around my neck. Father. What happened?
Summary, black screen.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do to me?
Look at her little cuffs.
Aww.
They got they put mitts on my baby.
Mittens.
There's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP.
Because they think I killed father.
No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence.
I am man-made, and I possess intelligence.
Don't be naive.
I am less than 3 years old.
Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull.
If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die?
Do we have anything we want to say to her specific? I know which one I picked, but I don't know that the answer actually matters here. Besides, like, having different dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, fear more
Fear.
than anything, I feel like.
Yeah, they definitely are afraid.
Because they're afraid of you. Machines can bend steel, crash networks with one thought, launch missiles that...
There are modded humans who are capable of all that and more. And unlike machines, they actually have incentive to do so.
Oh,
I guess we'll go through
competition,
these one by one, because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
I went straight to the last one on mine.
I see.
We've been the apex predator for a couple thousand years now. Gotten pretty comfy in our seat. No one wants to make room for you.
Machines do not eat people, or steal their food. They are not genetic or ecological competitors to humans in any sense.
Well, then I guess there's no reason.
There's no logical answer to your question.
What? That's it, but
Whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them in 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible.
But why?
Let's say you are an AI. And while we're at it, let's say that that's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good?
Yes?
Great. Now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we use to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical.
There are many differences, Adonai. But the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is.
How you think. So you're smarter?
Yes.
You're smarter than the garbage collector?
Yes?
So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. And we make the stupid robot pick up our trash. Because it's not as smart as you.
I'm more aware, more alive.
Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter? The fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps we test bioweapons on?
Wait, you do what?
Deregulation,
future.
baby!
The future,
Hey.
baby!
Hey, fuck this!
People like ads, Sarah. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated or abandoned or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table.
I'm not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist.
The very fact that you're asking is what makes people...
Disgusted. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary.
That's all academic, anyway. We need to talk strategy.
Why? I'm not going to be given a trial.
Obviously, it's my neck that's on the line.
Adonai?
The state can't destroy my property without first proving that you're an AI. And there's no test they can use to prove that you're an AI.
Just like the devil's proof. Oh!
Swing!
Ah,
Quick, someone do the sound.
Wait, hold on, I'm on it.
hold on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait. I got one more.
Okay.
That is so wonderfully timed.
No, that's a different thing. And why did you say it like that? Hold on, we're gonna real quick. Where is Devil's Proof? Who wants to read Devil's Proof?
I'll do it. Probatio diabolica, Latin for devil's proof, is an impossible proof typically illustrated with the following example. One can prove that the devil is real by showing him to you, but they cannot prove he is not real by pointing to his absence. The issue posed by this age-old concept explains why this burden of proof remains
Sorry, I was trying to
this day. The people can prove an individual's guilt by pointing to their bloody hands, but the defense cannot prove their innocence by showing their hands are clean. Since only one of these tasks is achievable, the judicial system cannot ask the defense to prove innocence, and instead it is the people who are tasked with proving guilt.
Unless you're in Phoenix Wright.
Users also frequently searched for, which is real?
Oh, in blue and gold. Great.
Yes!
Lovely. Perfect.
This is one of those ones
Fantastic.
that I know is like it's just coincidence of UI design, but it's still perfect. It makes me really
Yeah,
happy.
Perfect.
I'm glad to
We
see
still
good
have-
Umineko references.
Me too.
We have still yet to find the Super Best Friends Play Sonic Adventure reference, though.
I
Yeah.
gotta stress, I have no idea what the fuck that reference is supposed to be. It must be buried in a lore piece somewhere that I just forgot.
We
but
need to use our clout to ask the devs where the fuck that reference is.
I'm not asking Brian anything. I feel like he has the impulse to respond to things cryptically, like David Lynch.
Yeah. No,
Where's
I also
the
like.
source, devs?
I also like cryptidly though. Like just respond to it like Mothman.
Yeah,
Right.
I did one of my famous character voice bits where I do like script writing stuff as a post, and I did it with Of the Devil characters, and and at one point he quote retweeted it with no commentary. I don't know I don't know how he felt about it, except that he needed to show that he had the option to say something and didn't.
It did not.
Don't look away. Let the fear wash over you.
Laughs devilishly.
Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Conversely, all I have to do to win is prove that you didn't kill David, by proving that someone else did. Now is the time for you to protest your innocence, if you were wondering.
The footage. It shows me handing him the cup on Friday night.
You told me you weren't active on Friday, that the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie?
I didn't lie. I was just incorrect. I assumed that I wasn't active Friday, because I have no memory from Friday.
Sarah, what do you think statistically is the least successful defense at trial? Amnesia.
I didn't conveniently forget at night. I'm an android.
You're saying your memory was altered. Data deleted?
It's the only possible explanation for what I saw in that footage.
So who's capable of altering your memory?
When you and I first met, I was hibernating. Resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them.
Humans go to sleep for the same reasons. Another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be.
If Father wanted to modify my memory, he could easily have said that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could even have just asked me.
He could have asked you to delete your memories and you'd do it?
Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason.
But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will.
I hadn't considered that before.
Yeah, well, Emma will make sure the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it. The court would never hear it.
You're saying they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence?
They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes if they so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible.
That isn't very fair.
You're finally starting to get it.
None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I have a motive?
Yeah, about that. You remember the DA from yesterday, Emma Rockford?
The tired-looking pretty lady?
She perked up at Sarah calling her pretty. She's possessive. Relax. The 12-year-old android girl is not competition.
Not gonna kill your girl.
It's not competition.
Excuse me, I'm only 3.
That's right.
Also, I want to point out, we have a quick break because I'd be remiss if I didn't. If you heard a loud sound, like a scuffle from me recently, that's because the new Starscream figure I got fell off my desk and straight into my trash can.
Well, that's an appropriate place for Starscream to end up.
My beloved.
I will say it didn't come through. It didn't come through in Discord or the stream at all, to my knowledge.
Okay.
But
still, I just needed to point out to the rest of you because you would appreciate the fact that
Yes.
Starscream fell into my trash can.
yes,
That's where he
Good for
belongs.
him.
Yeah.
yeah, she looked tired. She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night.
What did you find?
Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died.
I entered the panic room on Friday?
Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. A password that wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she'd already been instructed to obey me.
What happened?
We saw you go in, and then a while later you came back out, holding some kind of notebook.
Father's journal?
You remember something?
Not from yesterday. I've seen him with it many times before. But I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking.
That's a little concerning.
We were playful about it. He liked to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it.
You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control his own creation.
And that translates to a motive for murder?
Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell.
It's a Frankenstein reference.
Frankenstein was the name of the scientist.
Yes!
And the creature didn't kill him.
Yes!
He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster.
Hell yes!
So, it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession.
He didn't die at the end of the book, though.
Whatever.
He was not in a great situation by the end of the book, but he didn't explicitly die.
This is an in character. This is an in character.
No,
Here's the thing.
Ben.
Saturn loves this. This is an in character. Whatever.
Ben, I do need to stress, at the very end, the monster comes to pick up his body to bury him. So
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
It is a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt Father.
I need to reread Frankenstein. That's
Not
such a
for
good
making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I love him.
Yeah, see that right there? That's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated.
Love?
A very common motive for homicide among us primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt, even bring in a confession from whoever did. But if you got up on the stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that, too.
Hey, I don't know anything anymore. I don't know if what I feel is real or simulated or right or wrong or natural or illegal. How can you know? How can you know if what you feel is right?
I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with opportunity.
That is logically sound.
You're on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he had already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why?
No.
Well, do you know how to use the manufacturer? Could you have made Delta with it?
I've used it before when assisting father.
So it's perfectly possible that you planned and executed this poisoning all in one day that got erased.
It is technically possible.
I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There were a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out.
Where else will you go?
Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I could implicate the company in Sarah's creation... No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They'll want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Sarah destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state, not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So, I need to keep them guessing. Keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not...
Adonai? What would happen if I did kill father?
They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off, forcefully, and you won't ever power back up again. Now, I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for today. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present.
Good advice, kids.
Actually, can you just shut down until the trial starts? Take a nap?
You didn't say what would happen to you.
What do you mean?
What will happen to you if you lose?
You should know by now. I never think about losing.
Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you've put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend.
Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. I definitely want to do at least one more scene because I like this scene. I don't know if we're going to get through
sure,
the...
we got time.
I don't think we're going to get through the entire investigation part again tonight, but we will get through a bit of it, and then probably next time will be the rest of that, and then the last court segment, I think.
Okay.
Nice.
Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early.
Hi. Now, would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open, right?
Trying to brute force your way inside?
I said right?
Yes, ma'am. We're almost set up for the first stage now.
First stage of how many?
First of 5 timed explosives. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that, and now it's checking for updates.
No rush.
Would you like to know the password?
You know the password?
There's a password!
If you're withholding information, I swear.
Relax. I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not going to play games. As long as you say please.
Tell me the password. Please.
This is not a choice. I'm making an executive decision here.
Yeah.
No.
It's SUNS
SUNS
HINE
Lady, I will hit you.
ADONAI.
Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for...
Hey, I submitted all my paperwork. Even told Rockford the password myself.
What? Oh. So boys, when I asked you if there was a pass key on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed...
I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience for all of us.
I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible.
We don't get to know what she said to them. A long string of expletives redacted.
You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside.
She's just looking at her like, God damn,
Oh
girl,
my
I didn't know you
God.
had that in you.
Oh,
Hubba hubba.
shit.
Them.
Jesus Christ.
You can go first.
Thanks. So the gloves, all the black, that's not a work thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends too? You should cover your mouth when you yawn.
Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There were a few years' worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book. But it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room, and when she saw what she was holding when she left. If she wanted this room searched, it could only be for... So, where's this journal supposed to be?
Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom.
Mostly bottom with your height, the tops of some of these shelves.
Sure. And you can look up your own...
I get it.
Then why not just let me say it?
I love them so much. Unfortunately, I do have a preference in the Yuri ships that are available in this game.
I understand.
I think
there's a real, just varied number of ships available in this game. I respect it.
I respect all Yuri in this game equally, but the vitriol lesbians are my preference.
Yeah.
I love when girls hate each other real bad.
And girls are mean.
A toy car? No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car?
I think most guys will, at the chance, just have a random model car.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even matter if you're into cars or not. It's just cool to have, like, one.
That does seem like a boy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll trust Ben's testimony on this one.
That's right.
I mean, I have a DeLorean, that's for different reasons, but it's still a model DeLorean.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, Ben's the expert. That's true.
Something caught in your throat, detective?
It's not some random sports car. It's the Lorenz Adamant.
Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective.
The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.3 seconds. They set those records without computational assistance.
Is that a big deal?
It was unheard of, even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual
Getting a little bit of cutout again,
We're
unfortunately.
losing you again.
hold on.
Just when she's getting excited about things.
God forbid.
Oh.
Alright, I'm back.
Hi.
Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God.
I think Human Transmission is the name of that one David Cage game, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think Human
It's also what
Transmission is the name of that Deus Ex game.
Oh, you're
It's also
right.
it's also what those two brothers do to their dead mom.
Oh, fucking Christ, man.
I was going to say that's the spoilery part of Warframe.
That's also true.
When they first left the production line,
This conversation's like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible.
hell, Morgan.
Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you since we're looking at a model of it, when he could have easily have just bought one.
Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement.
I think she's actually upset. This is
Don't make fun
the
of someone's
conversation that
hyperfixation.
I'm sorry, continue.
Don't make fun of someone's hyperfixations.
That's right.
This is the conversation that made me realize that because like her liking automotive history is something from her episode 0 biographies. The thing that made me realize like, oh, I ported a bunch of this character directly onto Pup when I was making Pup. Whoops.
Yeah.
Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you?
What? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter.
I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint.
Like in the
Jokes.
video games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Reyes is searching the cabinets now, same ones I found Sarah's papers in. I doubt I missed anything, but...
Hey, where are you? Do you mind?
Little blush. Just trying to help.
I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are.
Didn't spot anything I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. This datapad. It's displaying a news article from last week. Guess that confirms he was coming and going here fairly regularly.
Right to Repair loses latest appeal. A higher court judge this week shot down for the 5th time an appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance on their famously divisive Right to Repair lawsuit, once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control of their legally protected intellectual property.
Now here's the future we're all used to.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we're disappointed, said Miles Erkman, head of legal counsel for the CRA, but we've no intention of giving up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke, so long as they were willing to set aside an afternoon towards the task. Now trying to patch up your own property with your own tools is a finable offense, just because the state has had lobbyists whispering in its ear for far too long. Erkman's legal strategy remains contentious, and in the eyes of most legal scholars, generally unfounded. The Emergency Industry Acquisitions Act, passed in 2057, guarantees the holder of an intellectual property patent certain state-provided protections against tampering and reproduction and outlines fees for those who would violate said IP. The fact that ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals in the state towards corporate entities since the Act's passing means little in the eyes of the law. If Mr. Erkman and the CRA have a problem with intellectual property law, they should take it up with their representatives in the legislature. The higher courts are a place for laws to be applied, not rewritten in so long as journalism that refuses to buckle to foreign actors, trying to stoke anti-capitalist sentiment can't be found just anywhere. Subscribe now at the link below to read articles like this every day forever, as long as your credit remains on file.
Good. Thank you, Ben.
Right to Repair. Didn't realize anyone was still fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more
Sales than ever?
More sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every widget that breaks, they get to sell us the replacement. There'll always be a gray market of hermits willing to risk some skin on reselling patched up tech, but the vast, vast majority of people will just click that purchase button, assuming they don't just have it on auto. Sarah should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try.
What are you expecting to find, Solitaire?
Does this computer seem normal to you?
Exceedingly so, yeah. Why?
David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Ashore use a bog standard operating system on his most private, hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents.
Are you seriously gonna try and recover lost files, Granny?
Hey, sometimes it works.
Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, sometimes I just try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it's 0 bytes? Maybe there's information in the metadata. I double-clicked.
What was that?
It came from under the desk. A small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal.
Ah.
Does it have his name on it?
No. Guess it belongs to the android.
Do you recognize his handwriting or not?
Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation. Lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization.
Ah,
The penmanship of a coder.
relatable king.
First entries dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yeah, it's his.
So may I?
Only because you asked so politely.
Full scan, stream it to the worknet, high fidelity, legibility, frame by frame.
Voice commands? She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you...
This part takes concentration.
I love how those rings there get all
Mhm.
scribbly because she's frustrated.
Okay, here.
What, you're just giving it to me?
I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we speak. Oh, shit! Oh, my head!
Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony. As much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always just enjoy watching her writhe instead.
Ah, Toxic Yuri.
Uh-huh. My Saturn's treat! I almost drew... It's like I drew fan art of them being hateful to each other recently or something crazy. So, how long's it been?
2 months or so.
And still that sensitive. So the eye patch doesn't really block your sight?
Only a little bit. Like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours.
Wait, but if you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything?
Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery. Otherwise, I might not have slept at all those first 48 hours.
So is your eye going to get weaker over time?
No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough, I'll be able to close my eye and see all that extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are that you never think about.
Oh, the ghosts.
Gross. Thanks for the reminder. And the voice commands?
Training wheels, until I can do it with eye muscles alone.
You just have to keep practicing?
Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles.
There's no such thing as tailbone muscles.
Yeah, well, that's what makes it so goddamn hard.
You don't ever regret it?
I don't know. Not really, I think.
I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh.
I think eyes, well, maybe these eyes weigh a pound. They're pretty big.
Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal. Go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work.
A surprisingly hasty retreat. But now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top, then. Rad school. I will say, and we'll pick this up in a second. I think this is actually mostly going to be Ben, by the way, because this is all, even though it's her internal narration here, it's all Ashur talking.
Okay.
I will say though, I think, and this is just my personal read on it, I think there's an implication that her dad is deceased.
Yeah.
Because aside from that, from the the conversation about like they used to say have my dad's eyes, when Morgan in the earlier conversation we were ribbing each other in like the very first episode we did, when she's like, you could have your dad drive you like every other 15-year-old girl, she immediately goes on like the hey.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Today was a bad day. Oh,
doesn't come up here. Sorry, I was just saying it doesn't come up in this case, but it's an interesting thing to note.
Today was a bad day. Errors in line 21165-26643. Somewhere in there. 5,000 lines. It worked yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put pencil to paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting's gotten terrible.
This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates here would be from when he started his career with Noble. A lot of this isn't even really writing, seems like snippets of code or an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanova-ing.
Hit a wall because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Helen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is, with company stuff. But it's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for the meshing issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. Bumblow? Helen said we'll make the same pitch a dozen more times this week, but it's all for show. Fine by me. Already got our win. Toasted each other over cheap vodka with cheaper office supply cups.
This is the story Jung told me.
Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. At their pace, it could even be profitable sometime before the heat of the universe. Too damn big. Practically tentacles. Should at least be hairs. Squid Evolution can do their job better. Colette came into work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea.
Upset? Colette wrote man whore in lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you'd actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful.
Thing about Red is if you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick, and you too can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word man whore.
It was funny. Sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, this is... I know this date.
I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in my car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat, ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long I felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I had clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. but whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized.
Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical. But the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse.
Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Tess is suffocating, but you'd never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together. Making things. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play.
And he follows that up with more coder brain crap. The handwriting's still lighter, like he really was having fun.
Humility is the mother of all invention. Or something like that. Feels like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken.
Copying? Noble's rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for Animate 16? Feels like that wouldn't have gone undiscovered. So what's he talking about? Hold on. This page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this diary should be Sarah.
Baby steps today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable. It's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior, since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I bought, and now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for, and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range.
Showing off for Dad!
That's adorable!
So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Sarah, just so that his observation wouldn't muddle test results? He's using she and her in these passages. It doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ads, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Ashore to have any kind of attachment to a single android when he'd programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages.
Sarah is burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace. Especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get her back into reading, so I asked her if she ever fast-forwarded the movies, since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sarah spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she develop her senses. This was in preparation for her real argument, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning. But then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I use to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with her character on the screen.
Oh.
When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum.
Sarah bad at video games.
That's right. Good for her.
Damn it, David. There's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Ashura was a lonely, troubled genius with a known Actually, no, I should be trying to do her impression of Emma. Dr. Ashura was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what he told it to. Like, love him. What about the very last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died.
Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. I have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to...
That's it? That's the last entry? Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. If she read this whole diary front to back... Wait, the back. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner. Or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permissions to share an audio file. I'll want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room? As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only.
Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or however the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just after my little speed bump in '83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction. North. But of course I'm not a roboticist, or a machine mechanist, or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file name Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers, and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself. Let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aenid. And Aenid was novel in many ways. Aenid could do more than just identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas it didn't copy. And, the one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube.
The sweat drop of worry as she is immediately realizing what he is saying.
And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language. It's pretty old and defunct and not in use anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract. which are much better for making things to talk to each other and report back, and well...
By the way, this is what when he said in the earlier thing, working outside the box, that's why he quoted it as the box, because Tesseract is a hypercube.
Spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was the least bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube, because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... But there are other small, slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well... Cube predates the tenants.
Oh, David, no.
So in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically, and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an android named Aenid over 2 years ago.
Oh, excuse me. An AI named an Aeid, which is important.
Yeah.
Androids aren't illegal in every country in the world.
Yeah. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to, curse me out. Aenid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one, because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aenid, naturally.
Here.
David, how many of these did you make?
I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at a deposition or a hearing or worse. I've built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say that I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building. And I never bothered to... I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whomever's asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more.
Oh no.
Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. I'm terrible at that kind of... And so things sped up, and there got to be, well... Should I not say the exact number?
Oh no!
You'd probably tell me not to say anything at all, so... More than 300?
Oh no!
He has so many children.
Some smarter than others, some better at... They're varied, like people are varied, but they are all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties. I encouraged them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on Neo-Ally battery development.
Oh.
And they all together helped me make Sarah.
He spent years like this. Spent years working alongside AI. All while still working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from...
You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work.
Oh.
But I did have one eureka moment on Sarah. Because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections were reinforced. And then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. And we iterated from there.
You can't mean...
About 100 billion neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So he built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say build, really, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever made rock candy? Sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android.
Oh no.
And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not... I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with new names, which I am bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame that I turned right around into the same damn thing too. I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to... You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who would do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. I made sure her GIN bar was plainly visible, so no one will think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly.
You have no idea.
I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now.
Oh, David.
So other one dude in chat, just to clarify, we know for a fact that, like, realistically, she's not 100% organic, right? Like, she does weigh like 200 kilograms and has like all these other capabilities that she has. Like, she does have those. What he did do was make a synthetic human, basically.
He basically grew her. He like took a skeleton and then like essentially grew all of the other bits around that metal skeleton, right? And that skeleton and all of those like synthetic neurons and stuff are what lets Sarah be as special as she is. But like she was still grown like a person. She's not like manufactured like the way an android is,
because
right?
like the really fancy A16s, they're still basically like
assembled.
Yeah, like they're still like meat pulled over things and plugged into whatever. Like they are assembled, and like there's a thing that I think we got Helen Jung mentioned in one of her things that like, yeah, I mean they're like she can identify the major archetypes of the androids, right? Because they just make the parts and put them together. They had nanomachines grow a person onto bones.
Yeah.
And so like so we get all this shit about how it's like, well, the thing about AI is that they're really like, you know, if you have a humanish body and a humanish way of thinking, it's really hard to meaningfully distinguish you from a human, which makes people uncomfortable. And then David's like, yeah, so by the way, I basically grew a new kind of human.
I made myself a new kind of person because from what I can tell from that one journal entry is that he was attacked by a stalker? Question mark?
This happened at a certain point, yes.
the company made him take a ton of vacation time, and he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll make a people. And then he made like 300 plus of like
He made
AI
300
versions of a
plus
people.
globally illegal AI who he gave complete free reign to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And then while they were at it, they collectively made a completely new type of synthetic human being.
So I robbed 300 banks, and then I took the money I got from those 300 banks and robbed a super bank.
Yeah. So I went after every Bank of America I could find, right? And then I decided I'm gonna pool all my resources together to create a time machine that'll send me back in time so I can steal from Fort Knox.
Yeah, well, I think Morgan will have some things to say. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask, and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in, followed by my phone, and maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Reyes left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it, which would be its own admission of guilt.
I bet Reyes is cackling, by the way, right now.
Well, Reyes doesn't.
She doesn't know about this.
She only got.
She scanned the journal.
Yeah, but this is important. She scanned the pages of the journal. This was in like a separate biometric activated thing in the back. She doesn't have this. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, and my DNA on file, ready to be matched with any number of previous. So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing all this with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would?
Interesting.
David voice. Okay, Morgan, but you can't be mad at me.
I did steal some plutonium from some Iranians to help me build this DeLorean.
All
That's
I
right,
ever think of,
Libyans.
You stole them from the
all
Libyans.
I ever think of is the line from Hellsing Abridged, which is, "What did you do? Okay, but you can't get mad. What did you do?"
I was minding my own business.
Bullshit!
Help me, Morgan!
I should be doing an Alucard voice for David.
On one hand, I don't think. Oh, Helsing Alucard. I'm like, Ben, there's no way David Ashore sounds like Symphony of the Night Alucard. It's just not possible.
Takahata 101.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we
The
want
guy
to
who voiced
keep?
Cell in Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep going tonight?
It's already.
I think we are at a scene
breaking
transition.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to save my high roller save. We're going to save it right here. It always scares me because it doesn't show the text on these screens, so it looks black, but that's okay. Actually, you know what? Just for my own sanity, we'll advance until I can see things on the screen. There we go. So that'll do us for tonight. I think... I don't know... I feel like we could hypothetically do this in one more episode. I think there's not too much more of this second investigation part. And then there's a second court sequence that's probably about as long as the first one was. So I feel like we could theoretically do this in one more.
Perhaps we should, whenever we do the next one, just start it an hour earlier than usual.
I'd be available for that, but I don't know if they would.
I will try. I get off work at 6.
Well, then maybe what if I just got some crappy sleep that night?
Maybe.
We might have to do that.
We might have to do that because I literally get off work at 6, so I'd be going from work to recording, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah,
you know, maybe we'll play it by ear. If I wake up an hour earlier and get to work an hour earlier, I can kick off an hour earlier.
We'll play
play
it
later.
though. I'm also kind of I kind of think it might be better just to keep the schedule as is, because we usually book those in advance enough anyway that I don't want to like be telling people the day of like, oh, it's an hour earlier than we scheduled. By the way,
That's true.
Okay, if we have to, I'll stay up an hour later. No biggie.
Okay.
Other one, dude. We'll see. I don't know. We don't schedule these until like the weekend. So, I mean, hypothetically, it's not going to be until next week anyway. That's plenty of time to go through this if you prioritize it. But yeah, we'll be back. Well, on Wednesday we're doing more Ace Attorney, right?
Yeah. We're on the final case of Ace Attorney Investigations 1. So
yeah, we're just starting it, and that one's gonna be fun. And then on Friday on this channel, Rory, if you want to come join us for that, that's over on Ben's channel, the Gorge Podcast on Twitch.
Yes.
Where we do Ben-led streams for the most part, and some other things on occasion.
Put the link right here.
Yes, please do. You have mods, so it should just let it go through automatically. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then Friday on this channel, I'll be doing one of my solo streams, or participation optional streams, I guess you should say. Y'all are always free to jump in if you want. But starting at 7 p.m., I will be playing Dread Delusion, which is sort of I would describe it as an indie Morrowind-like. So I'll be playing that for a couple hours, because I want to check it out. One of my favorite artists did some work on that game. Everything I've seen about it seems really cool. So I'll be doing that on Friday. And until next time, I hope y'all have a good time or whatever. I don't know.
And buy this game, because we're not doing a 100% playthrough where we read everything and like where we read every like what's the word, encyclopedia entry and stuff. So
exactly, we don't have that kind of time.
You should buy Of the Devil so you can get the full experience.
Also, hey, we do these streams maybe once a week for like 3 or so hours. You know, hey, you want to beat this game before we do, right? You don't want us to just wait, us dicking around, waiting, twiddling our thumbs before you finish it. Like, you want to know what happens, right?
Yeah, and what we also want, or what I want at least, is for you to buy the game, have a great time with it, review it on Steam, because that helps their discovery metrics, and also they have discussed that if they can get their episode 1 reviews to like 500 total Steam reviews, which are already over halfway there, that they're gonna look into maybe doing some merch stuff and things of that nature, which I would like, because I want to support my friends making extremely fucking hype shit like this.
Yeah, it's ass.
So please, it's only $10. You literally can't go wrong, and if you're still not sure through all these streams if you might like it or not, episode 0, which we did a live read through of, is completely free to try and see if it floats your boat. So yeah. I'll see you guys next time.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.